What up, y'all? Welcome to the Hobby Homies podcast. What have I got these on for? I'm Fox. Today I'm going to be talking to Sundered Psyche, one of the members of our Discord, one of the homies, beloved member of the community. And we're going to be talking all things indie war games. We're going to talk about him and his hobby journey. We're also going to talk about Cyphers Edge, his audiobook podcast set in a cyberpunk universe. Anyways, let's get into it. Let's have some fun with it. We'll see you there.
Woo! Big up to the boys, Fox and Shane. Set your minds free, no locks and chains. Do what you love, roll the dice. 50-50, we cold as ice. One thing cold, but the penny turn red. Can't let that shit go in my head, war gaming.
So, Sundered, welcome. This is Sundered Psyche. And the very first thing I want to ask you before we talk about your hobby journey is, where on earth how did you come up with your what do you call that? Screen name, your display name, Sundered Psyche.
Screen name? Yeah.
Screen name.
It's it's evolved. So when I was in high school, I was a little bit like hippie, and so
Nice.
I'm a Gemini star sign, and I looked into like Greek mythology, and the
Wow.
twins, the Gemini twins, are Castor and Pollux, and that was my screen name for ages.
Yep.
And then it just sort of evolved from there to be two minds, one body, which is a sundered psyche. And
Interesting.
yeah, I just sort of stuck with it.
It's so much more deep than mine, which is literally my last name. So I think
Yeah.
intellectually that
But your
speaks
last
to-
name's cool.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, and yours is JJ Brandis, which people will learn about when we get into, because I do want to talk a lot about Cyphers Edge later on. But first, before we get into that, I want to hear about somehow you went from learning about war games and that they exist, tabletop war games, and then you found yourself from that place into our weird little slice of the internet, which is the Hobby Homies Discord. So I want to hear about that journey. Like, what got you into the hobby?
So I can lay that squarely at my best friend's feet. It's 100% his fault. And
Nice.
my wife lays the financial like burden at his feet as well.
Full responsibility.
Basically,
goes to
he
him.
started dating. Yeah, basically, he started dating this girl, and she was really into Warhammer. And so he's coming to work. We're working together, and he's telling me all about Warhammer, and he's telling me about the different factions. And I'm like, you know what? I like mech suits, and Tau sound really cool. So yeah, next thing I have the self-control of a toddler. So I dropped like a couple of $1,000s on Warhammer really quickly, and he went from going, yeah, you should get into it, to you should slow down.
I've never heard a Warhammer player say you should slow down. I don't know if I've heard that from them, but he
He's very
obviously has more
reserved.
self-control. Yeah. So when
Yeah.
when was this? I know you got into it around 8th edition, but was that your first foray into tabletop war games in 8th? Or had you done it when you were younger?
Yeah. Oh, I played a bit of D&D in my early 20s because I had friends who were into D&D, but I never really got like deeply into it.
Sure.
And like I came up from a household where we didn't have board games. I didn't even have a gaming console till I was 20. So
Wow.
I tried to play video games on my dad's computer once and broke it.
Oh dear.
And yeah, so like the first time I really got into tabletop wargaming was 8th edition. Well, just before 8th. I never had a game of 7th, but that was when I actually like jumped in.
Sure.
And then yeah, it just sort of took off, and now yeah, I went through like the whole GW fanboy phase, which I think a lot of us do, and then discovered like smaller indie skirmish games, and I realized that if I play skirmish games, I can paint way more models with way more variety, and it takes way less time.
Yeah.
And yeah, like the Death Wizards game is like my current go-to, the Snarling Badger games.
Yeah.
They're my jam, 100%. And Rescued Ruckus, who I was friends with from another Discord, on a mini swap over on that Discord, he recommended your podcast to me, and yeah, the rest is history.
Yeah, there you go. What Discord was that? Was that like another tabletop Discord that he was in? That he was running a
Yeah,
Mini-Swap for?
that was the tabletop minions Discord, Uncle Adam.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I think I've loosely heard of this Uncle Adam character.
Yeah, he's pretty small.
Yeah. Hence the snarling badger affinity you have, I guess.
Yeah,
So
100%.
So how did you go from, what was like the catalyst to take you from the 40K fanboy pipeline into indie wargames? Was there a particular title that won you over? Because I know, like, for a long time, so many of us are in that pipeline, and all we can see is 40K, and we know other games exist, but they don't have as many models. There's not as many players. A bit like indie games that aren't supported, or just have one rule book and that's it. That can be a turnoff when we're so tunnel visioned on 40K. What broke you out of the shackles?
It was still sort of GW. Like, I stopped playing 40K, and I traded my army to my buddy who owns the local store. He gave me a copy of the latest edition of Blood Bowl because I was getting into Blood Bowl. Like, the camera can't see it, but I've got like 14 teams. Like, I dove heavily into that.
Another $2,000, of course.
Yeah, right. No, they're only like $70 a team. It's nothing.
Stretchy, quickly, what's 70 times 15?
Not 2,000. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, hang on. He's pulling it up for me. I'll let you know. It's not 2,000. You'll be. It's only 1,000.
Oh, there you go. See,
did the maths without a calculator. You're an idiot, Churchy.
I'm gonna make sure my wife doesn't watch this.
Yeah. Sorry, did we say 1,050? We meant $12. Yeah, good job. That's cheap.
No.
Okay.
But yeah,
so
I got into Blood Bowl. Yeah, and I think it was because that was a smaller size game. And then Rain in Hell came out from Snarling Badger, and I was like, oh, well, I've always wanted to paint demons, like, Age of Sigmar 40K demons. So I got some of those. Yeah, and painted them up and played a bit of Rain in Hell, and that was sort of, those two things combined made me realize that I don't want to play armies. I want to play smaller skirmish games. And yeah, just sort of like from there, I started looking at Wargames Vault and other small games. Got into one-page rules a couple of years ago. Luckily, I think I jumped on at a good time because when it first came out, there was a lot of evolution with one-page rules and the rule set, and they were trying out a lot of things. And by the time I got into it, they'd really dialed it in. Like, it is what it is now. It's a very tight rule set. And that's definitely one of my favorite systems.
Yeah, just being able to throw your... So, you said you traded, and I think you said you sold as well. Did you sell both your 40K armies, or have you still got a 40K army?
So I traded my Tau for the Blood Bowl starter set, and I sold my Necrons. But then a few years ago, I bought the Space Marine Combat Patrol. That's right. The one that they released before Combat Patrol became its own playstyle. So it was the one with the dudes with the jetpacks and the massive machine gun rifles. I don't know what they're called. I don't play 40K, but they look cool.
Heavy bolt guns probably. I don't know.
Some bolt flame pistol thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a heap of 40K people just yelling at the screen right now.
Yeah.
Heretic.
I think that's one of the first things you posted in our Discord when you joined, was you painting up some Reavers, probably from that box. That would have been 2022, I think you joined. 2023. May of 2023. Like there you go. That's when you joined our Discord.
Look at that. 2.5 numbers, years ago. Man.
Yeah. That was locked in here somewhere. Obviously, I checked that out at some point.
Yeah, you did research.
Yeah, I researched you. That's all I could find on the internet.
It's funny because Rescued added me to the Discord, and I was like, yeah, this is really cool. And I was in the Discord for ages. And then one day I was at work and I was looking for something to listen to. I'm like, hang on, don't these guys have a podcast as well?
Yeah, I think there's a few people that didn't even know we had a podcast for their first few months into the Discord. I'm like, how did you get here? How did you find this?
Yeah, it's crazy. But it's weird how people end up in places. It's like the whole like this is a story that Adam tells, Uncle Adam says, where he's like, he bumped into two people who play the Snarling Badger games, but neither of them had heard that he was attached to that or that they were his games. And they're like, wait, you made those? And he's like, yeah, you watch my channel, right? Like, how did you find these?
Yeah. That's so interesting.
It's weird, yeah.
So cool. It's so cool about, at times, it's cool how there's so much weird, like, mashups of people that would never interact except for the fact that they found this weird little niche hobby that we all do, jumped in a Discord server or on a Facebook page or whatever, met up and played games or just chatted online in a hobby hangout. It's just so cool how that's the cool thing about this community. Once you get it, people that are into war games are so into war games. It's such a large piece of their personality. So when it's so easy for us to have that common ground, but it feels like it's common ground turned up to 11 because we love this shit. You have to if you're spending $2,000 or $12 on an army. So,
you know what? Just nobody let her know how much my paints cost. Like,
yeah. I
mean, you can see I stick to one brand now. I'm all army painter now, but the depressing thing is I've got all army painter. Like
you're branded.
Oh,
that's like. Have you got a sponsorship or something? That's all I can see. Army.
There's a Hobby Homies sponsorship sticker down there somewhere. Actually, it's on my mic. I'm not going to move it, but like my mic is covered in Hobby Homies stickers. They sponsor me. I don't know if you've heard of them.
No, is that part of Snarling Badger or
yeah, must be. Yeah,
one of them weird.
Actually,
content.
Complete tangent, but the lamp that I use is a touch lamp, and that sticker that's like touch the lamp is right on the button.
Nice. What a perfect use of the touch the lamp sticker. That wins. I want to know, like, this is something I always find so interesting when we're talking to members of the community who are all in their different geographical climates. What is your local scene like? Do you have like a good player base and or local stores, or what does it look like over there?
So when I got into it, there was one local store. And it was quite, I'm trying to think of a good way to say something that was
it a Warhammer store?
No, it was a third party. We don't have a GW Warhammer store in Bunbury, which is like the nearest city to where I live. But
you
like
Bunbury.
Bunbury, yeah. It's like 2 hours south of Perth. So, yeah, the local store that was there, it was very insular. And the people were like a very close community. And so my mate's girlfriend's brother, the chick that got my buddy and me into Warhammer, her brother and this other guy decided to start their own store that was a bit more open and welcoming. And it just took off. Like it really showed what the community was after. And it took off. And they went from like a small store to expanding to buying out Toy World in the city and then conjoining with Toy World.
Wow.
So... yeah, it's a really like decent sized store now. They've got, I'm trying to think, maybe it's like 14 tables for Warhammer, or like any game you want to play, but of that size. 4 RPG rooms that you can rent out to play time in there. Sound insulated. They got TVs in there. Like it's a really solid community. It's very well supported. Huge TCG nights, tons of tables. Like 100% shout out to if anyone's in the south end of WA, you're in Perth or Bunbury, look into Beyond Games and Hobbies, and like they're great stores. The staff are amazing. So
good. So that kind of feels like one of the biggest barriers I think for wargamers, especially around Warhammer's 6th to 7th edition, was the old guard of wargaming, and which is kind of what you talked about. It's those really cliquey, I don't want to say gatekeeper, because I think oftentimes they come across as being quite gatekeepery, but if you gave them a couple of hours, which is difficult when they're so cliquey, they're not super gatekeepy, but it has that vibe, it has that feeling. It's like the old guard of wargaming, and it's so cool to see. I think part of our hobby blowing up has been how many people are just bringing more of your beers and pretzels approach to wargaming and just being like, I don't care how you do it. I don't care if your Space Marine has a gun that doesn't exist. Like, I'm just happy that you're playing war games, Yeah. And so it sounds like they've encapsulated that in their ethos of their store, which is awesome.
Yeah, like they're happy for anyone to come in and play. And I think part of it as well, it helps that like their store is a pay to play venue. So
Awesome.
yeah, it's $7, but you pay once and you play all day. Or you can be a member, and like if you're a member, I think it averages out at like $7 a fortnight or something. So if you go in there once every weekend, you're ahead.
Yeah.
But because of that, they don't care what you play in the store. It's not like if you're not playing the game that we sell, you're out, because either way they're making a bit of money.
Yeah.
Which, you know, it's a business. I 100% that's what they're there for. They're there to make a profit, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think like a lot of stores that don't have pay to play, they will push people out a little bit because, you know, they need to make that profit. And if you're just coming in and using the tables and you're not buying hobby supplies, and you're not buying the games there, you know, realistically, why do they want you in there? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I always find it so crazy that these stores charge so little, because I'm like, if I'm running a store, I don't know how that so many charge like $5 or $7 a day. And it's like, people will be sitting there for 4 hours. There's two of them. You know, how does that, especially if they're playing, like you said, a game where they just don't support it at all. You're already so entrenched in the hobby. You've got all the hobby supplies you need. Maybe you'll grab a paint or two and a drink. But like, I just imagine if it would be better just to be like, hey, you can play as long as you want. It's $10 per person. And I know then people might be like, oh, I'd rather play at home. But the benefit of playing in a store is the fact that they've got all the terrain and the table, like all the mats and everything that you need there. So I don't know. It's cool that they're charging so little and that they have the membership where you can just go every week and be way over and prof.
Oh, yeah.
You're making money.
Yeah, and you get a discount on pre-orders if you are a member as well, which is insane. That's like another level that they offer. Yeah, it's a really positive like community as well. I found like every now and then you get someone who you don't get on with, and that's just life. But overall, like I will generally play at the store if I can. Like I have, you know, terrain and stuff at home, and since having kids, like as you'd probably know, there's a period there where you don't escape the house for quite a while. And that was when I got into playing more at home. That was when I got my Bamboo A1 and started printing up terrain and everything, because I was like, you know what, I'm not going to be able to leave the house for a bit. And I live about 20 minutes away from the shop. So like, yeah, for me to like drive in and back, it's not like a long trip, but it does take like an hour and a half game up to like 2.5 hours. And so having the stuff at home is handy, but I much rather play at the shop. Also they sell like brownies and, you know, Powerade and energy drinks and stuff. So
yeah. So what games would you say they support? Is it mostly mainstream games like Star Wars Legion and like AMG games and Warhammer and stuff, or do they have any indies?
Yeah, they have a few indie RPGs, because one of the guys who's sort of their RPG expert, he really pushes for it, and he makes a point of learning how all the rule systems work. So they do stock some of the smaller indie RPGs. The war games are a little bit more mainstream because shelf space is at a premium. So like they've got, you know, Shatterpoint, they've got Malifaux, they've got some Reaper Bones stuff, and obviously all the GW kits. And then other things sort of come and go. It kind of depends what the flavor is. Like for a while there, Legion was really big, X-Wing was big for a while, and then it disappeared. But it's Matt, one of the owners, is quite good at gauging what the community interest is, and he just shifts gears, you know. I know that, like I say, they won't tell you you can't play here if you're playing something, but if he notices that like enough people are playing a particular game, like that's why I think they got Malifaux in. Enough people showed interest in it, and he's like, yeah, I'll sacrifice some shelf space for that. So I think, you know, if more people will come in showing interest in, like, you know, take Snarling Badger for example. If enough people were like, hey, yeah, that, you know, Death Wizard seems really cool, it would certainly be something that they could buy into, and I think, you know, he would, given enough motivation. And I think indie games, you know, like the Snarling Badger games, they don't sell models, and you know, for some people they like a model line. But I feel like it's a pretty low buy-in for a store. It's a low-cost commitment because you're not fitting boxes on a shelf. You're fitting books which are only that wide. You can fit like 20 books in the space of one box. And the Snarling Badger books, for example, they come out at like $20 American most of the time. So it's not even like it's a high buy-in cost. So I think more stores should shift towards indie games just to see what the reaction of the community is, and it's really low risk.
Yeah, I think, oh man, it would blow my mind to walk into a store and just see a shelf of just indie wargaming rulebooks. Like you've got all your Snarling Badger stuff there. You've got a bunch of Osprey blue books. You've got like Frostgrave and all the McCulloch stuff. And imagine you just walk in and you see all the blaster mags and all these things in there, and parsecs and all the what is that, Modifius stuff. Imagine just walking in and seeing that would blow my mind. I reckon, and you're right. It's I know getting those books here cuts into a lot of like the profit. You kind of have to sell them. You see like all the 5 parsecs books are like $70, $80 here because that's what it costs to get it here and then actually put a markup on it. But it would be so cool to walk into a store and just see that. So I agree. I think more stores should just like, you don't have to, and then you can point people towards your other miniature ranges that tie in with those games. Feels like a no-brainer, but I don't run a store, so.
Oh, look, I think I think one of the major things that stops stores from doing that, it's not so much on their side of things. Like say buying into indie games, there's a bit of a cost in getting stuff to Australia, but realistically, when you like match that against like opening up your shelves to say Malifaux, where you've got models and everything that take up a lot more space and it's a lot more of a premium to buy in. It's not so much on the store's end that you've got to convince them. It's more the local player base. And I'm sure like if I had the time and the motivation, I could go in there every week and play Space Station Zero and start a league and get heaps of people interested and shift some people across. And it might get enough traction that then the games that I'm into, those indie games, might get on a shelf because you've now got a player base who reacts to it. But the other side to that equation is, for a lot of people, if a game is too close, and these are the GW fanboys I find, if a game is too close to anything that's made by GW, they kind of push back on it with the attitude of, oh yeah, but I've already got this. And that's why I feel like whilst One Page Rules is doing really well, it's really hard to get it into some communities because it's too similar to what they've already got, and they almost feel like they're sort of betraying the brand that they love. But changing someone over to something that is completely different, I think, is a lot easier,
Yeah, I agree. Because, I think that's was such a big reason that I think Trench Crusade was so successful, because it was so different in its rules and vibe, but the aesthetic was so familiar to people. So, it scratched an itch that they could just never get that from 40k, but so many of them are 40k players, and so the familiar aesthetic is like, and they can use some of their existing models. So, I'd love to start an indie war game.
Oh yeah,
to be honest. That's a tangent for a separate time.
I reckon the indie wargaming side of things, the other really big push that you can put behind it, that spin to sell people on it, is you don't have to buy any new stuff as far as models are concerned for a lot of these games. If you want to play a sci-fi game, you've probably already got the minis, and from the store's point of view, when you turn around to the store and they go, oh yeah, but there's no model line attached. No, but there's no model line attached, so you can sell them any models. Like you can still sell them something. You don't.
And the ability to like only have to, usually for these games, because you either have all of them or some of the models you need, you are then only having to sell them on 10 models, usually for these smaller games, and they get to pick the coolest ones, So the freedom that they have is awesome. Or go find some cool files online or designs or whatever. Hey, I want to know, so what would you say your hobby and your wargaming looks like now? And a second question, have you ever been played in like a big event or anything like that? Or has your hobby just mostly been a couple of games here and there with mates?
So my hobby right now looks really dull because, as you know, we just had another kid.
Yeah.
He's born on a
Congratulations.
great birthday too. Like,
Yeah. Yep.
he's
That's
landed
so
on the
important,
best day, didn't he?
right? So good.
So, like, obviously, I'm not getting out heaps at the moment, but prior to that, and hopefully in the near future, my wargaming is sort of like maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks a game.
Yeah.
And it's usually something small like Blood Bowl or Death Wizards or
Yeah.
Rain in Hell or something like that.
Yeah.
Games that I can get through relatively quickly. I was playing in a couple of D&D campaigns for a while, like that spanned a couple of years.
Yeah.
But the time element of that, like 3 or 4 hours every Wednesday night is just not there for me at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's definitely like more time I spend painting than gaming, 100%. Like that
Yeah.
setup behind me, I'll sit down for like 10 minutes every night, and then sometimes that 10 minutes blows out to 2 hours,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's getting a lot more traction than actually gaming.
Yeah.
And look, as
Fair.
far as like playing goes, I never used to be very competitive as far as the hobby goes, because I'd been super competitive in my previous hobbies, which were very different to wargaming. And I found it brought out an attitude in me which I didn't like. So
Yeah.
I tried to pull back from it. But the community here has been really, really good. And so whenever there's a Blood Bowl tournament on, I will jump into a Blood Bowl tournament.
Yeah.
We've had like some really big 40k ones back when I was playing 40k. We had like a huge apocalypse game that had kill team games around the side that affected what was going on in the big apocalypse game. Stuff like that
that's
was
so
really
cool.
fun.
And was that at Beyond? What was the stores called?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Beyond Games and Hobby. Yeah, that was when they were like their first or second year open. Yeah.
Sure. Wow. That's so cool. That's such a cool thing.
So
to do.
yeah, they run a couple of Blood Bowl tournaments a year. They run the Dolphin Bowl because we have dolphins here. We have a dolphin discovery center. So we run the Dolphin
Right.
Bowl, and then
course.
yeah, and then we had a amazing community member called Andrew, and he was involved in like D&D and Blood Bowl and so many different events, and just like one of the best guys you'd ever meet. And unfortunately, he passed away from a brain tumor. And the store honored him in so many ways. Like they named an RPG room after him, and we started a Blood Bowl tournament named after him. And so that's the second tournament we run, and that one's a charity event. And so the money raised from that usually goes to the local hospital where he received his care.
Sure.
But
That's amazing.
yeah, those would be the two major events.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, that's sad to hear. When was that recent? I imagine so. For stores.
I have a terrible concept of time. I want to say about
Well, you're
4 years
you're a
ago.
dad, so yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
of which,
I want to say about 4 years ago.
yeah. Speaking of being a dad to a samurai warrior, are you in any way going to get into Test of Honor? Have you dabbled in any
Oh,
feudal
man.
Japanese war games?
You know the problem with your podcast
Yes, I do.
is you guys get me excited really easily.
Well, I feel like that's an after hours,
You're
after
just
dark
like-
episode.
Yeah. I'm not wearing pants under here. Like,
These are barely pants. Look how tight these are.
yeah, like you guys are like... I can see you're excited too.
They're painted on.
Yeah, like you guys are like... Great guys are traitor toll. And I'm like...
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I did look into Test of Honor on and off, like every time you guys talked about it. And I think the only reason that I haven't bought into it is because you guys currently aren't constantly talking about it. I have to go back in time to listen to your old podcasts to get my fix on that. But yeah, the more that I like get into some of the... Sorry, go ahead.
That is the big problem that we have, is that we play so many things so quickly. We're just, and so, but the tricky part too is by the time our content comes out for a game, we've already started painting and playing the next one. And so people are like, oh, this sounds awesome. And we're like, it is awesome. And it's tricky because if we weren't doing content, we could list 3 to 5 games where we would only play those. But we're just so that we use this content as like an opportunity to play everything. And so I feel so sorry for people who listen and get so as excited as we are when we discover these games, buy into them, and then we don't touch them for another 6 months, or at least we don't film content for them for another 6 months. Yeah. I play that constantly, but yeah, that's a tricky one to actually make content for because the games go for so long. If you've got an opponent like Shane,
yeah, you say that you're just holding out on me, bro.
Yeah, no, it's coming. Don't worry. There's this Shatterpoint game booked in 2025, so that will come soon.
Yeah, I've only been asking for like the last 18 months. It's fine.
And you will only have to ask for another 18 months. Hey, stop pestering me or I'll tell your wife how much you spent on your Warhammer armies you don't have.
So anyway.
Now, yeah. So, hey, you also do something super cool, which is you have an audio series of a story and a universe that you've created called Cyphers Edge. Tell us how on earth that came to be. First, probably tell people what it is, and then how on earth it came to be, and where they can listen to it. Tell us everything about it.
So I've always written. I've always been a writer since I was quite young, and Cyphers Edge is an amalgamation with fantasy, which is my usual genre, with orcs and elves and that sort of thing. With my obsession at the time, which I'm still sort of obsessed with, which is cyberpunk, mainly the aesthetic of cyberpunk. And like, I've never played Shadowrun or anything like that, but I've been told by some of my friends that it's got a similar vibe to Shadowrun.
Sure.
And I tried to get traditionally published a couple of times. And the frustrating thing is that was back when I was in my early 20s, when I probably had more time. And yet now I don't have as much time, and yet somehow I managed to actually put more effort and time into things. And I just think to myself, if I'd done this same level of like dedication back then, I probably would be published by now. But I found that the easiest way.
Sorry, I want to interject with a real quick tangent about that. That's so true for us as we get older and more time poor. We identify the value of time more, and so we actually use it better. And it's such a frustrating phenomenon because you're right. If we had have just taken that attitude towards time and applied it when we had more of it, think of what we could have done. But anyways, carry on.
Yeah, you're 100% right, and it's true, but yeah, so I realized that, like, yes, while I would love to make a career out of being a writer, it's a hard industry to get into, and quite frankly, like, I'm in my 30s, there's still time. What I really wanted to do was just get my stories out there to people to enjoy, and so I ended up like tossing up, like self-publishing and putting it on Kindle and other stuff like that, and then I can't remember, maybe it was my wife or something. It was like, hey, why don't you just do a podcast? Like, why don't you tell people, speak things, do audiobooks. I'd gotten her into listening to audiobooks when our daughter was born because she wanted distractions, while she was up late at night. And so, yeah, it just sort of came from there. I thought, well, I can't voice act, but I'm sure I can figure it out enough to entertain people a little bit. And yeah, Cyphers Edge was definitely made specifically to be a podcast. And when I say that, I mean that it's got different beats to it than I would write a novel. So I've written a few novels. Sure. And with a novel, like, your chapter has a certain, arc to it. You start a chapter, you have a high point and a low point, you wrap it up, you might leave a chapter on a cliffhanger. And to a degree, like a podcast episode has the same kind of structure, but I find that it has to really neatly fit into those 3 beats. And I kind of work on a rule of 3. Generally speaking, most of the stories for the series will be 3 episodes long, and they will work on those 3 beats. They will have an intro, a conflict, a resolution, and it will, or if there's no resolution, it'll be a cliffhanger. And these are all things that, like, I'm totally self-taught. I've never taken any writing lessons. I've never gone to any talks or anything like that, and I don't follow anyone on social media. Whether that's a pro or a con, I don't know. Some of my favorite artists are all self-taught, so I kind of work off of that. But like learning the podcast has been a huge like learning curve for me as far as like audio goes, voice acting. And I think that it's also given me a different sort of motivation and determination for writing, because I won't write the whole series and then record. I write about 3 episodes ahead. So I can't slow down because I'll catch up to myself. I have to keep ahead. And that is part of what's contributed to my motivation to like do X amount of words every night and make sure I keep up with my audio editing and recording. I fit into a really tight schedule. I mean, you guys would be very similar with making sure you get the podcast out each week. And so
it's funny you say that.
It's been really good for me.
You say that the week after we miss our first episode.
Yes, well.
Yeah. But typically, yes.
Hey, you know what? Not everyone's perfect.
Yeah. We were up until that point. Yeah. That's so it's probably I imagine.
Look, I think it's a
There you go. We got Zoom call lag.
I was going to say it's a credit to your community. It's a credit to your community that like you put in the Discord, we're not releasing an episode this week. Life gets in the way. And all the responses was, we love you guys. Do what you need to do, and it's, I think that you guys are the most positive Discord I've ever been on. You and Shane within the Discord are really friendly and treat everyone like equals. And it's definitely the best community I've been in.
Oh, thank you. We'll slip you the check for that after. Appreciate that. It's good. No, we do. We appreciate that. And that's why it all feeds into itself, which we'll talk about in a sec. It's the community is so positive and so awesome. And we knew when we posted and said, we can't do an episode this week, that everyone would just be like, they couldn't care less. They care more about us than the show. But that's the reason we so badly want to make sure we're doing content every week, because we want to give these awesome people the stuff that they like every week. And so that's the motivation. It's probably very similar for you. Like, how rewarding is it? Like, I imagine if you have to write an entire novel, and then try and go through the process of publishing that. I can't even fathom that. Whereas if you write 3 episodes, you go, all right, now I get to change up the medium and record it. And then you get to see the product then and there. You get to see the audio and know people are listening to this. And then you're like, all right, cool. Now I get to do the next batch. I feel like that's a more rewarding process.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. One of the things that has always bugged me about writing is, I used to have a friend. It was still sort of friends, but she's an artist. She paints. And, she can paint something and straight away people can see it and appreciate it. Whereas, like, writing, it takes you so long to write something, and then someone has to have the time to sit down and read it. And so the distance between the effort you put in and then something actually, like the feedback, is so huge. Even musicians, like the guy who made the intro song for Cyphers Edge, he said, when we make an album, it takes a few months to make the album and then we release. But I'm like, that's still, even if it takes you a year, that's still only a year. It takes some authors 2 or 3 years to write a book before they get the feedback. And having the small community that I have, exactly. And having the small community that I have, it's really, really nice that I can see, like, if nothing else, the views on the app spike. I put a new episode out and it goes ping, and I'm like, oh, cool. Like, there's still people listening. People are still enjoying it, and it's really satisfying. Like, in my line of work, I get that satisfaction straight away. Like, I do landscaping and I make a garden and it's finished and I see it straight away. So I'm sort of used to that. I'm not good at waiting.
Delayed gratification. It's a lost art. We just don't have it anymore in society as humans. It's gone. We don't have it. So it's really
I blame
cool.
TikTok.
And also, me too. Yep. TikTok, Reels, whatever else, Shorts, all of them.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so Cyphers Edge is a cyberpunk inspired story that people can go to. You can type in Cyphers Edge on Spotify and you can listen. When was your last published? Is episode 10 or 9?
Episode 11 came out from the point of recording this just over a week ago.
Oh, sure.
But if
Okay.
I'm imagining when this episode is going to come out, there'll probably be a new episode out the day before.
Yeah, cool.
So yeah.
So 12
So we're
episodes.
at 12
probably.
episodes for season 2.
Yep. Yeah, that's awesome. And was
Yeah.
season 1 12
It's-
episodes as well? No, it was longer.
No, season 1 was 16. Yeah, season 1's 16 episodes.
16.
Season 2 will be 16 episodes.
Cool.
That's kind of a little inside joke for myself, trying to keep them at 16 episodes, because like memory megabytes 8, 16, 32.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep it at multiples of 16 for each season.
Nice.
Which obviously I don't have to stick to. That's just me like trying to come up with a rule. But yeah, it's
great.
on pretty much any platform. As far as I know, I've got it published on pretty much any podcast platform. Don't listen to it on YouTube though, because I found out that when I update the audio, if there's a glitch or something and I go back and change and update it, YouTube's the only one that doesn't auto update. Once it's on there, it stays like that. So what I'm going to do eventually is compile all of season 1 into one big file and hide the episodes and just upload that as a complete season for anyone who does want to listen on YouTube. But if you listen on YouTube, you'll come across a few repeated lines.
Sure, I see. Well, we will put the Spotify link in the description of this video so people can take less steps. But if you go away and all you remember is that it's called Cyphers Edge, just search that, you'll find it. And you'll hear an Aussie speaking, which is always, in my mind, a rarity and a joy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, us Aussies have to support each other.
We got to.
Half of the world doesn't think we're real.
I feel like it's more than half, and sometimes I think they might be correct. People don't think birds are real, so how are Aussies even real? We got beat by emus. That's a story.
Yeah.
Someone's written that in a story.
I do really love like the Australian attitude that we really are very supportive. I find Australia a bit like a family. It's like we're allowed to bully each other quite readily, but as soon as someone else comes in from outside, we really pull ranks.
Yeah. Your banter has to be on point if you're gonna bring it over here. Come on over, because game recognizes game. So if your banter's on point, you're in.
Yeah.
That's the only milestone. No, what is it? Rite of passage you need to make to become an Australian. So bring the banter, enjoy a beer.
Yeah, 100%.
Hey.
Yeah, and look, the
podcast
is set in Perth as well, so it's...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This lag is shit.
Yeah, sorry. It's gotten a little bit worse as we go on, but we're navigating. Tell us more about that, then we'll finish up. I want to hear about where it is set.
Yeah. Oh, I just wanted to say on the subject of like Australia, the podcast is set in Perth, and that was a very conscious decision because I'm Australian. I have an Australian accent. Although I found myself doing more and more terrible American accents for the podcast. So I apologize to any American listeners. I try my best.
You know what?
But
I haven't heard.
It's very specifically an Australian podcast.
Yeah. I think I haven't really heard Americans do very good Australian accents, so I think you're forgiven. I feel like you actually do a fine job, better than me. So well done. And I'm
This
American.
isn't even
I'm
your real
Arizona.
voice.
Yeah, exactly. I talk like Gog. I'm made of rocks, as you can tell.
It's a perishable rock.
All right, we did. This is how we started the recording. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
We've gone full circle.
Yeah, we have. Hey, if you want to talk to Sundered or myself more about Cyphers Edge or any of the cool stuff we've talked about, indie wargaming, why isn't it more available at stores? Have you got a local store where it is? Jump in the Discord. We chat this stuff all the time. Literally, I'm reading the Who we got? Oh, that's your message to me. Never mind. So jump in our Discord. You can find the link in the description, or you can find all the links to all of our socials on hobbyhomies.com. Hey, Sundered, I'll chat to you in about 2 minutes when we end this and have some more brewskis and kick back. And for everyone else, we'll see you next week.
Ciao.